Imagine floating through space in your own private spacecraft, and that's what astronauts with NASA have been doing for more than 5 decades now with their spacesuits. With us today to talk about that 60 years of spacewalking is NASA astronaut Mike Foreman. Captain, thanks for being with us today.
Well, thank you, Tarek. It's great to be with you.
Great. Well, you are no newcomer to spacewalking. I think by my last count, at least 5 spacewalks under your belt. Can you kind of give us an idea of what it's like to look out into space with nothing but a sheet of glass through your faceplate separating you from the void?
Well, Tarek, it's just an amazing adventure out there in that one-person spacesuit. You know, looking outside of the space vehicles from inside through those flat windows is really cool, but going outside when you have that full panoramic view through your helmet is just amazing. To look down between your feet and see the Earth passing, 250 miles below you. It's just breathtaking.
Now, I see that you're kind of not in mission control today. There's a large pool of water behind you. Looks like some stuff inside it. Can you give us an idea of where you are and how that helps astronauts like yourself train for spacewalk?
Yes, Tarek, we're out at the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory here just north of the Johnson Space Center. This is the largest indoor swimming pool in the world. It's 101 feet wide by 202 feet long, 40 feet deep. And we have the entire International Space Station mocked up in the water here. So astronauts, when we train for spacewalks, we put on the same suit that we're going to wear when we go out into space. And we get into the pool here. We have safety divers that help us get around in the water, but then once they get us to the International Space Station down there, we climb around on the space station just like we're going to do in space, and we do all the tasks that we're rehearsing for our spacewalks, and it's just great training. I think it's some of the best training that I've ever had as an astronaut.
Great. Now astronauts with NASA have been taking spacewalks since Ed White's historic first spacewalk in 1965. I'm wondering how have things changed since that history-making spacewalk? I think that obviously the space technology must have changed over time. I see one behind you now. Can you give us an idea of how things have changed?
Well, Ed White floated outside of his Gemini capsule, and like spacewalking at the International Space Station, he didn't really use his legs. There was nothing to walk on. He was literally floating in space. Of course, the astronauts went to the moon, and they actually did spacewalks on the moon where they could walk around and actually use their legs. But again, back at the International Space Station, we float around, so it's almost like we've come back to the way that Ed White did his spacewalk. He didn't have a nice big structure to climb around on outside of his Gemini capsule like we do at the International Space Station, but again, we're climbing around. It's like a big monkey bar set in space where we're just out there playing on it for about 6.5 or 7 hours, climbing around with using our hands.
Can you kind of give us an astronaut's tour of the spacesuit? I think that the one behind you is similar to the one that you used on your spacewalks. What are kind of the major components that keep you safe and allow you to work in space?
Well, the EMU, or the Extravehicular Mobility Unit that you see behind me, is the spacesuit that we use today. It's comprised of a hard upper torso, which is sort of the midsection. It has a LTA, or a lower torso assembly, that's the legs, the pants, if you will. And then it has a backpack that contains the life support system. And of course, we wear gloves and a helmet to keep all the oxygen inside and keep us safe. So it's just an amazing one-person spaceship.
And how heavy, how hard is it to put on when either you're practicing on Earth or floating in the weightlessness of the space station?
Well, it's a little difficult to put on down here on Earth with the gravity that we fight against, of course. The suit weighs about 300 pounds. So when you put it on in space, for me personally, I'm about a 200-pound guy, so all of a sudden I become this 500-pound guy. And of course, we're weightless, but we still have mass and momentum, and you see us moving around during our spacewalks, and we move kind of slowly because we're trying to control that 500-pound mass that we're a part of there, and not go out of control. So it's a pretty amazing suit.
Looking ahead to the next 50 years of spacewalks, either in orbit or around the moon or on the moon or even on Mars, I'm wondering what kind of advancements, what kind of attributes you would want to see in a future spacesuit. Make it smaller, make it more sleeker, a new paint job?
Well, the color's just fine. I think we are working on new suits today. Eventually we will have a better suit than even this one behind me, but the suits will be a little more flexible. You know, we will go back, like you said, to a surface, like back to the moon or to Mars or an asteroid, and we'll be climbing around and actually being able to use our legs again. So we want a suit that will be comfortable to walk around in, and a little more flexible at the shoulders. You know, one of the drawbacks of this suit is that getting in and out and the shoulder bearings aren't perfect. You know, our human body has some pretty complicated joints, the shoulder being one of them, and it's hard to fit a suit around that shoulder and give it all the movement that it's designed to have. So I think a new suit will be a little better in that regard, and it's going to be amazing to watch the advances that we make in the next 50 years.
You mentioned the experience, and I guess this would be my last question, but the experience being like none other on a spacewalk. And when you're sealed up inside the suit, what do you feel as you're heading out the airlock, getting ready for a hard day's work outside?
Well, you just feel excited. I think you're ready to do the tasks that you've been training for, and of course you're looking forward to those amazing views that you're going to have. In fact, sometimes we have to remind ourselves to take a short break and look down, look up, look around, because we always pack those spacewalks with so many activities that we're trying to accomplish that you can get kind of task focused and not remember to take a look around, take a break, and enjoy the view a little bit. So it's just a very cool experience to be floating back outside and getting to experience that.
Well, Kevin Foreman, I'm just out of time. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with spacewalks, and we look forward to seeing you up there again.
Thanks, Derek. It's great to talk to you.